right, so next speaker is Mona Dajani. So I hand over to you, Mona.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicola and Goldie, for making this event happen. I'm really very happy to be here along with great colleagues and friends. I'll share. I don't have a lot of slides, but can you see that one?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'll also try to stick to the 10 minutes, hopefully, but also try to give a bit of, where Hadil stopped and he spoke eloquently about, the other subtle ways of censorship and kind of, what language we use to actually describe what Palestinians have been going through for the past century even. Always kind of the fact that we need to kind of say it in ways that adhere to the Western concept of what is allowed. I wanted to really start my reflection here about my family's house. My grandparents' house is one of the houses facing expulsion in Sheikh Jarrah, in the neighborhood of Karm Jaouni. Like we have seen on the news, it has really a lot of commentaries and a lot of articles, a lot of news has been talking about how it sparked, the recent resistance and uprisings throughout Palestine and even beyond the borders of Palestine, in Jordan, Lebanon, and other places. And I really wanted to center, Sheikh Jarrah as a case of an ongoing settler colonial expulsion. My grandparents, I'll speak a bit about our history and ties to Jerusalem, and then from that kind of make a bit of reflections about how settler colonialism dispossesses and continues to do so. So this is my grandparents' garden, and in the back you won't see it, but it's a small house. My grandparents, after 1948, when the Palestinian Nakba happened, they were forced to leave their home in Baqa neighborhood, which is also in Jerusalem, but came to be known as Western Jerusalem. And as refugees, they still made the arduous travel, to Syria, seeking refuge with families and friends, and Jordan, and ending up in Sheikh Jarrah. Sheikh Jarrah became their home. It became their refuge. It's a place that we, as descendants of our grandparents, our beloved grandparents, came to us, and we became to be known as our home. Sheikh Jarrah is the place where we have, all these family memories about the past and the future. It's where we have grown up. It's where we also want to see our children and grandchildren also live in that place and grow in it and make roots and connections. So when we speak today about expulsion from a home, it's not about how, also the Israeli state and a lot of even media and even parliamentaries from different European countries have tried to frame it as, as a dispute, a dispute over real estate. But this is the reality of settler colonialism. It excludes, it dispossesses, it uses laws and regulations to do so and to justify it. So the fact that it has framed Sheikh Jarrah as a case of real estate dispute shows you kind of the destructive power of settler colonialism. If you are an indigenous population of the land, the quest is to eliminate your presence, whether in a house, whether your presence in your house, in the place you call home, in the place you made roots, whether it is on your agricultural land where they don't allow you to access your water resources, to make use of your farmland, to hold on to your livelihood practices and continue to be present on the land. It also dispossesses when, of course, heightened and, big events like the Nakba happened, when the objective was to eliminate, to destroy your presence, to destroy your history, your connection to the land, but also your future connection to that land. So an indigenous world, an indigenous futurity in that space and geography is beyond limits for Palestinian under these conditions. And this is why it is so important to stress that we are not dealing with standalone cases. We are not dealing with Sheikh Jarrah and cases of expulsion of families there, or we're dealing separately with water apartheid in the West Bank, or we're dealing with a man-made humanitarian crisis in Gaza, or a systematic, discrimination and dispossession of Palestinians inside Israel. So we are dealing with one unit carrying out all of these acts, and it's a settler colonial project that is inflicting those different strata and different levels of expulsion on these communities. So this is why, Sheikh Jarrah has been kind of dubbed or has been framed and characterized as this microcosm of an ongoing Nakba. So it's really important also when we speak about the settler colonial project is to not assume that we are just retrieving or bringing back, historical evidence of dispossession and kind of really reflecting on how it is, what is its ramifications today. It's an ongoing process. So the settler colonialism is an ongoing process of dispossession and elimination. And also our Nakba is an ongoing process and an ongoing experience. So it is not a historical event that we also retrieve just to commemorate memories of dispossession. It's actually, it comes to be, or it becomes a way of living on the land. If we look at Jerusalem, for example, Jerusalem has been turned into an impossible city to live in as a Palestinian, whether by very clear examples of expulsions of complete neighborhoods for the sake of the illegal settlement enterprise, or by making life so difficult economically for any Palestinian economy to thrive or even to survive. The fact that geographically Jerusalem has been completely shut off and completely closed off by the segregation wall from the rest of the Palestinian areas in the West Bank. Of course, Gaza is off limits, and the only connection Jerusalemites have to Jerusalem is just where they are allowed to live, where they're allowed to build, which is really very limited. There are not enough permits to expand housing in East Jerusalem, which is a big crisis, as you've already known. Israel has been using collective punishment and means of, when they demolish houses, when they don't allow you to build and you build without a permit, the next step is for your house to be demolished, where you're also you are also responsible and you have to pay for the vehicles and the demolition vehicles that come to destroy your own house, or you can do it yourself. So we can imagine the level of violence of settler colonialism that not only uproots you from your land, from your natural resources, it also destroys your place of inhabitance. It destroys your house. It demolishes your house. It disintegrates the community and social ties in your society, in your community. It also makes you very aware that your presence is not welcome. So Jerusalemites face that on an everyday basis through all these levels of violence inflicted on them. So this is Jerusalem, but we cannot say that Jerusalem is special because this is happening all over Palestine, but in different ways and in different levels. So this type of violence is being inflicted on us on a daily basis. And this is why, when the situation in Sheikh Jarrah escalated and the campaign has grew so strongly, is that people all over Palestine, people in the diaspora, have seen in their own eyes an act of Nakba. This is what happened to our grandparents. This is what happened to our ancestors. These are the stories that we hear. These are the documented expulsions and demolitions that we read about in our village books, and so on and so forth. And this is also what unifies people, Palestinians and non-Palestinians, Palestinians in the diaspora, and Palestinians who live inside these borders from the river to the sea. So this fragmentation is no more a reality. And this fragmentation, Israel has tried to also maintain it by, geographically separating those entities and dealing with them on different levels, so that they feel that they are not really treated equally, in their levels of dispossession and humiliation. So all of these levels of violence are happening. And I wanted to really highlight also points that Hadil has raised about also the mobilization and how they're censored. But to a certain extent, I also wanted to make sure that Palestinians, whether they're activists, Palestinian scholars, academics, journalists, have all, paved the way to what we see happening today. So without, the relentless work of these people in their different positions of work and expertise, we wouldn't be where we are today. So a big really appreciation to people who have been working tirelessly on the ground in academic circles and everywhere to actually make this a reality. The fact that we today speak of settler colonialism loud and clear on mainstream media, the fact that we speak of apartheid, the fact that we speak of ethnic cleansing happening is really, a result of all of these great efforts that have been waged. And this kind of really takes me back to one point that I would like maybe to discuss in the Q&A, is about kind of the role of the academia, or the role of the academy in debunking myth about that, well, how are we decolonizing the academy, and how are we doing that if in cases where decoloniality presents an opportunity for us, in the case of Palestine, to stand in solidarity, to stand in meaningful collaboration, that we see many departments, many institutions, many people who have embraced, this decolonial rush in academia, see them silent, or see them really not acting at all, and kind of really question, what does really decolonizing mean in academic circles.
You've got, can you sort of start to wrap up now?
Yeah, no, I'm going to wrap up.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but I really wanted to say that we also, another great shift that we're seeing is that we're seeing Palestinians as being partners to that solidarity campaigns that are global. So we're no longer just, the victims of Israeli aggressions, but we're also part and parcel of shaping, the narrative and shaping, solutions and decolonial approaches to our path for liberation and self-determination. And I think this is really another great achievement that has, thanks to these decade-long mobilizations and advocacy. And I'll stop here. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you so much, Mona. That was really informative.